Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right in today to demystify an absolutely essential skill for any modern network engineer or sysadmin: troubleshooting IPv6 networks. We're totally bypassing the theory and focusing strictly on the practical realities, why IPv6 debugging matters today, and exactly how to execute when your systems go down. Okay, picture this scenario. You've probably actually faced it. Have you ever had an application just mysteriously stall or randomly time out while literally every other IPv4 site loads perfectly fine? Well, that is the silent threat of a broken IPv6 configuration hiding in a dual stack environment. See, when IPv6 breaks, applications that prefer it will just hang, waiting for a timeout before finally falling back to IPv4, and that causes severely degraded service for your users. To tackle this head-on, here's our game plan. We'll start with the IPv6 imperative today, then decoding IPv6 addresses, essential CLI debugging tools, fixing IPv6 DNS issues, Layer 2 and OS quirks, and finally, real-world troubleshooting scenarios. Starting with Section 1, the IPv6 imperative today. So think about the sheer volume of IoT devices out there right now, everything from smart thermostats to security cameras. This explosion is exactly what drove IPv4 address exhaustion from a warning into a harsh reality. Major cloud providers, ISPs, and edge networks, they're already running dual stack or IPv6 preferred networks. So your ability to debug IPv6 isn't just about some distant future-proofing, it's absolutely crucial for keeping your services online today. Moving on to Section 2, decoding IPv6 addresses. You really have to appreciate the massive scale difference here. We're jumping from our familiar 32-bit address separated by dots to a massive 128-bit address represented by 8 groups of 4 hexadecimal digits, all separated by colons. Honestly, it looks super intimidating at first glance, but the structure is actually incredibly logical once you learn the rules. The real secret is understanding address scopes and shorthands. You can just compress consecutive zeros into a double colon to save space. Boom, easy. But more importantly, you've got to recognize the prefix. If you see a 2001, you're looking at a global unicast address that's routable right across the public internet. But if you see FE80, that's a link local address. It auto-configures and only works on that specific local network. Meaning, if you want to ping it, you actually have to tell your system exactly which network interface or zone ID to use. And the way it configures is pretty brilliant. Unlike IPv4, where you're sitting around waiting for a DHCP server, an IPv6 device immediately creates its own link local address at T0. Then it performs duplicate address detection just to make sure nobody else on the network is using it. Next, it actively solicits the local router, gets a router advertisement back with the network prefixed, and uses that data to build its global unicast address. Finally, one last collision check. If any single step fails here, your device is stranded, totally without connectivity. Now, here's a formatting quirk that trips up countless engineers. Say you have an IPv6 web server running on port 8080. How do you type that into a browser? Well, because IPv6 is full of colons, the browser gets completely confused about where the IP address ends and the port begins. The fix? You literally have to enclose the entire IPv6 address in square brackets, followed by the colon and then the port number. Super simple, but a real lifesaver to remember. All right, let's gear up in Section 3, Essential CLI Debugging Tools. Consider this your ping6 cheat sheet. On modern systems, your standard ping command might just default to IPv4, so explicitly using ping6 forces the IPv6 test. And pay close attention to that last command. By using the -m do flag alongside a specific packet size, you can test for path MTU issues. If your large packets are stalling but the tiny ones get through fine, you've likely got a router dropping fragmented packets without sending the proper ICMP message back. Now, if that ping fails, Traceroute 6 maps the exact router path to find where your packets are dying. But here's an absolutely vital trick. A lot of strict firewalls aggressively block ICMP packets, which means a standard trace just spits back a wall of useless asterisks. By using the -t flag to send TCP SYN probes on port 443, you disguise your trace as standard web traffic. It basically sneaks past those firewalls and lets you map the actual path. If you're on Linux, the modern IP-6 commands completely replace outdated tools like ifconfig and ARP. IP-6 address gives you total visibility into your interface scopes. The routing command shows you exactly how a packet will exit your machine. And crucially, IP-6 nays show lets you view the neighbor cache, because in the IPv6 world, ARP is dead. It's totally been replaced by the neighbor discovery protocol, and this command is your window into it. Moving on to Section 4, Fixing IPv6 DNS Issues. When it comes to DNS, the command line tool Dig is your absolute best friend. Remember, when testing IPv6, you aren't looking for standard A records anymore. You're querying for quad A records, commonly called quad A. You can use Dig to verify if that record actually exists, or you can even throw in the +CD flag to bypass DNSSEC validation just in case you suspect a broken chain of trust is causing a server failure. Oh, and if you're stuck on a Windows machine, NSLookup looking for type quad A is your quick fallback. Section 5, Layer 2 and OS quirks. So what do you do when ping 6 fails to reach a host that's sitting on your exact same local subnet? You bust out NDisk 6. This tool sends targeted neighbor solicitation messages. It is the definitive way to confirm whether your outage is a basic Layer 2 hardware failure, like say a bad switch port or a MAC address mismatch, or if it's a higher-level Layer 3 routing issue. If NDisk 6 returns a MAC address, you know for sure your Layer 2 is perfectly healthy. But you do have to remember that your syntax is going to change slightly depending on your operating system. If you're on Mac OS, you'll still be leaning on ifconfig, and you absolutely have to append that specific zone ID with the %sign, like %en0, otherwise your link local pings just won't work. On the Windows side, PowerShell gives you some seriously powerful CMDlets like getNetRoute and resolve DNS name, which hand you structured, object-oriented visibility right into the IPv6 stack. Let's bring it all together in Section 6, Real-World Troubleshooting Scenarios. Whenever you're staring down an outage, just fall back to this strict 4-step workflow. It turns a chaotic jumble of abstract commands into a highly actionable playbook. Step 1. Always verify your own local address first. Step 2. Check basic connection to the target. Step 3. Map the route it takes. And Step 4. Verify the DNS directory is actually pointing you to the right place. Let's see what this looks like in a complex environment. Okay, imagine you're an SRE on call. A critical web service is throwing timeout errors left and right. After some digging, you realize your dual-stack Kubernetes pod simply cannot reach a back-end IPv6 service address. All the IPv4 stuff? Totally fine. But the IPv6 traffic is just falling straight into a black hole. How exactly do we apply our workflow here? To fix this, we start from the absolute inside out. First, you exec straight into the failing pod. Using our first step, IP-6 adder show, you verify that the pod actually has a global unicast IPv6 address assigned by the cluster. Then, use ping 6 to test connectivity to the internal kube DNS. Now, if the pod is configured correctly but traffic is still dropping, you move down a layer. You might fire up a netshoot container on the physical worker node itself to debug those lower-level routing tables. It's all about methodical, step-by-step isolation. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Are you absolutely certain your network is truly dual-stack ready today? Please, don't wait for a silent fallback outage to find out your configuration is totally broken. Open up your terminal right now, type ping6 ipv6.google.com, and put your newly acquired IPv6 debugging skills to the ultimate test. Thanks for tuning into this explainer.